What happened in
practice
for the Austrian Grand Prix? Normal intro. Now, before we dive into everything Austrian GP Friday, a shout out to the P1 Live show. Well, tickets are selling fast. Very fast. A bit faster than we ever imagined. We've sold out London, San Francisco, Glasgow, and both shows in Amsterdam. So if you are available in any of the other venues that we're doing, get involved, get your tickets, and we'll love to see you in either November or December. There you go. I remembered the months. Also, worth mentioning, something that people may not know or even care about is the fact that we do a meet and greet after the show, which is free. You know, as much as I'd love to charge £20 for to see Tommy in real life and the complexion of a 36-year-old man.
I tried to charge, but Matt kept me humble, you know. He keeps me grounded.
He was going to have like a skincare brand, like title sponsorship where he stands. It was going to be really, really bad. But just to let you know, that's another thing that we do at our shows because we love to meet all of you wonderful P1 fam.
Absolutely.
Right, let's get into it. Free practice 1. And I'm going to say the top 4 here was Russell, Verstappen, Piastri. And in 4th position, Alex Dunne. Now, no, there's
Most
not
people's
been...
reaction is, who is Alex Dunne?
Yeah, there's not been a replacement. Lando Norris is taking part in this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix action. However, as we all know, there are certain occasions where rookies are kind of forced to be sent out because this is now the ruling within Formula One that teams have to field young talent in free practice sessions at points throughout the year. And Alex Dunne was put in as the Formula 2 championship leader into Lando Norris's car and just popped it in a cheeky P4. 0.2 off George Russell's fastest time. And we're now all wondering, is Alex Dunne the next Max Verstappen?
Is he the greatest of all time? Yeah, of course, very, very close to his teammate Oscar Piastri, who, of course, is leading the World Championship as well. Yes, like we've seen drivers pop in because of this rule, haven't we, of having to field young drivers and things. But normally they do kind of sit around the bottom or maybe don't do a competitive lap time, whether that's because of fuel or the kind of programs, because sometimes we see them don't we come in and we don't really get an idea of how good they are because they might be doing long runs or something like that. But no, apparently, you know, this F2 driver, Alex Dunne, has waltzed in and just been like, hi everyone, I'm here in the McLaren.
I don't know, it just feels like McLaren are very much, we talk about the whole Lando versus Oscar, both number one drivers. It feels like McLaren just like, Alex, go Alex, just absolutely send it, my friend. Don't worry about Lando's car. Go and do an amazing performance. And he's done this kind of free practice performance where we all sort of sit up and go, oh, okay. And I know for a fact that both mine and yours first reaction is, are the Formula One cars quite easy to drive?
And also, how have McLaren not won every race by a mile?
Not taking anything away from Alex's
not.
performance, but it is quite funny when you think about it of like, oh, geez, this is that's literally his first free practice 1 session in this current car, and he's been able to extract that much performance so quickly.
Yeah, the old man yells at cloud in me wants to say that I don't know if I really like that people can jump in.
I don't like it that Alex is good.
Yeah, and he does deserve a huge amount of credit, and we've seen this as a trend quite a lot with Formula 2 drivers that have jumped in and been very, very good very quickly. But and maybe this is just the way the world is now with Formula 1 and the fact that you can prepare so much in Formula 2 and simulators and things like that. So it's not completely like blind going in, and you are kind of very well prepared to do a decent job. But there is also part of me that goes like, I don't know, is it a good thing that people can just jump in, and does it make the drivers feel a bit maybe less superhero like if the kind of drivers? But then maybe that's just the talent of F2 and how good you have to be in F2 now.
God, if you didn't like Alex Dunne jumping in the car and going fourth, you'll definitely hate Brad Pitt doing it. So,
we'll talk about that. Yeah,
we're doing a podcast reviewing all of the F1 movie. Well, not the whole movie, but myself and Tommy have both watched the movie in the last couple of days, and we will be releasing a podcast this weekend. First question from people on Patreon about R&B Sheep: does F1 need to give young drivers more chances to show themselves in an F1 car? I mean, I think they're doing a pretty good job as it is. Of course, we see rookies fielded whenever the teams decide to tick off their quota throughout the year. And this is something that hasn't existed for a huge amount of time. So I think that Formula One has done a good job to be able to showcase this. I guess that we are sat there wanting to actually know how good they are. Like, how much can you really extract out of a free practice one when everybody's dialing in, nobody's sending it to the absolute limits of the track and dialing the engine up. So I guess from a spectator side, we are sat there going, well, how good is Alex Dunne actually? We're not really going to know. But within the Formula One paddock, within McLaren, they're going to know exactly just how good a job Alex has done. I found it interesting that McLaren afterwards were almost immediately saying, wow, yeah, fuel loads are a little bit different and this, that and the other. Because I guess from a sort of weird PR side, McLaren needs to say
are really good.
Piastri and Norris are very good and Dunne isn't 0.07 of a second off the world champion.
They do give the young drivers a chance, and I'd rather this, we've kind of maybe complained a little bit about it, but I do think it is good and fair play to McLaren for putting an actual young driver in the car, because we've complained previously about other individuals that maybe use certain drivers that are there just to kind of tick off that box because they're a rookie and they're never in a million years going to get into Formula One, but it's just a way to kind of go, well, this person's maybe got a bit of experience, going to get some data, and they can jump in the car. So what I would say is fair play to McLaren for actually letting a young talent, one of their young drivers, go in and actually use that slot for what it is for, let's be honest.
A question from Mega versus Primus. Do you think Alex Dunne has a shot at F1 next year, or is 2027 his best shot? So we've spoken about it for as long as we've been doing podcasting around timing is everything. And I have a feeling that there are so many drivers queued up at the moment to potentially get a Formula One seat that next year is impossible, in my opinion. I cannot see it happening. Even with this really impressive FP1, I just cannot see it. 2027, yeah, potentially could be his best shot. I hope that for his sake, there is an opportunity there, because we have seen drivers go by that had so much potential, so much talent, and not be able to get a Formula One seat.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Formula 2 drivers, it really is right place, right time, and that's exactly what we've seen. It felt like we went after, I think it was 2023, wasn't it, where no driver changes happened going into 2024, and we thought, when are these young drivers going to get a chance? And then we go into 2025, and seemingly half the Formula 2 field jump up and get that nod because people were joining mid-season. People like Ollie Behrman and Colapinto, and it was impressing, and it maybe made everyone think, no, these Formula 2 drivers do need a shout. And then all of them go in, and it almost feels, unfortunately for Formula 2 drivers, even ones that are very, very talented, that it does feel like a bit of a reset of the kind of order now. These drivers have come in like Hadjar, Antonelli and stuff and impressed, and now unfortunately for these ones, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a seat until maybe a couple of years down the line when people start dropping out and teams assess more, because we've just had this insane silly season where everyone started locking in their drivers now. And after a big shuffle, it's very difficult.
Right, let's go to free practice 2, where it was Norris fastest from Piastri and Verstappen. Lando back in the car, straight on the pace. There was a lot of questions in commentary and around why would you take Lando out of a Grand Prix weekend like Austria. But I was kind of sat there thinking Lando's phenomenal around here, and it's a track that he has a huge amount of confidence round and is probably a track that he's okay sacrificing a free practice one. Question, Mohammed 187475662. Will we see the usual cycle of Lando continue this weekend? Fastest in practice with 3 purple sectors, but struggle to deliver in quali and in the race. It's yet to be seen. I think that Lando, as I mentioned, has a huge amount of confidence round here. And I think if there is a race weekend where he can deliver, especially in qualifying, I think that's it. What I will say, and it's probably worth mentioning as a part of the weekend, is that some of the track limits areas have been tightened up so that it is pretty much now a natural track deterrent wherever you look. Strips of gravel, things like that. And I like the fact that Formula One has acted upon the where a driver could nail a corner, run out right to the edge of the curb, which then the gravel is there, but then still get pinged for track limits because their car, all 4 wheels have gone off the track by a millimetre. They've missed the gravel by a millimetre, and you're like, well, that surely is great driving. So they've changed that now, so we don't have these problems, which is what I love. But I know I'm talking about Lando here, and I think this is a really good opportunity for him this weekend. There are a lot of... I was watching just onboards of drivers, Lando, for example, in practice, and he was on the ragged edge. I'm like, one small little correction, and you are popping into that strip of gravel, and your lap's gone. So it is going to be a really intense qualifying session.
It's a weird circuit, isn't it? Because you, in a way, on paper, it looks very easy because it's only a few turns.
10 corners?
Exactly.
Easy!
And exactly. I mean, Alex Dunne has shown that it's easy. But we get... But when you are on the limit and you're trying to find every single tenth and you're throwing the car into a corner maybe a little bit quicker and you're just hoping that the car sticks, it is those tiny bits. And Austria has been one of those circuits that track limits, oh my word. Back to Lando, though, I do think that there is a reason why this kind of narrative around his Q3 has happened. Karun Chandok shared an insane thing that Lando's been quicker than Piastri 9 times in Q1, 8 times in Q2, and then when it gets to Q3, of course, Piastri is 6-4 clear of Lando. So Q3 is really where he's struggling with the confidence and things. But surely this track, where he's been so good in the past, even when it's been a midfield, midfield runner, he was so good around here. I think he would really, I think it's panic stations if he can't do well and deliver here, because this is such a Lando circuit.
Question from Jason Waterfalls. Are these floor upgrades going to make any difference for Ferrari, or are they just floundering? We're finished, we're done. Just lock it up. Just put it in the box and seal it up, and we will head to 2026. Didn't look great, did it, for at least today? And you know how I am as a Ferrari fan if you've been listening to the podcast for a while. I am so back, and we're so finished, and we're so back, and we're so finished. And right now we're finished. A lot of teams have brought some significant upgrades, and I saw a performance graphic, and it very much put in, not black and white, it was in colour, that Ferrari are the 4th fastest car. And I think it's as simple as that. Mercedes have trajectoried, if that's a word, themselves up to P2. And I think Ferrari are floundering. They are quite clearly still trying to figure out how to work this car that they've built from the ground up this year, kind of forgetting that next year is a complete overhaul again. So I will say probably less kind of, I don't know what the word would be, just not hopium, the opposite of that. I am going into a bit of a hole with this, is the fact that, you bring upgrades. Some teams will be quicker than others out the blocks. Some will be sort of scratching their heads going, well, this isn't what the simulations have suggested. And some might take a little while longer to dial it in.
Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, the upgrades haven't worked and stuff. You look at McLaren last race, Piastri going against what they thought with the upgrades, with the suspension and stuff. So sometimes the upgrades don't work out. The problem with Ferrari is the car's just been very mid the whole season, and that's the biggest problem. When if they were there or thereabouts with McLaren and an upgrade didn't work, you give a bit more of the benefit of the doubt because of how they were last year. But we've said this so many times, they have completely changed their whole philosophy and whole car, and they're comfortably the fourth fastest team this season.
Right, that is pretty much all of what happened in practice. Well, I know that Tommy has actively not put in the questions sheet that Lance Stroll finished fourth in free practice.
Well, we can run down the different drivers because there's a few standouts, isn't there?
Yeah,
and no questions about Lance Stroll.
Yeah, but interesting that you didn't want to even mention it, considering your GOAT was ninth. Fernando Alonso,
spun off. Yeah,
and spun off. Yeah, almost let that one through, didn't we? But I think the big thing to talk about that has been coming into this weekend is the Max Verstappen to Mercedes rumours once again. They have ramped up. Not just from Toto Wolff's side, but George Russell seemingly adding some spice to this as well, saying about how he's performing perfectly well and things like that. And if you haven't seen it, definitely go and watch that interview because it does seem as though he's open-minded to having Max Verstappen as his teammate. And oh my God, I need it. I want it. I need it. I think everybody needs to see this because Mercedes have the fastest car in 26 and it's Russell versus Verstappen as a title fight. We will Drive to Survive will not have enough Netflix memory to upload the 150 episodes of that season.
100%. We all need to see that. No offense to Norris and Piastri, but they've had one little incident and even then it was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was my fault. Okay, well done, chap. Jolly good.
Well, that's what happens when it was literally one.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a contentious incident, was it?
But that kind of collision and moments is happening every single week if Verstappen and Russell are going for the championship as teammates, and they're also trash talking each other in the kind of press conferences as well. So sign me up to that. That would be incredible. But
however, Kimi
I do
Antonelli.
think it's. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I read the quotes and things. I do think it was maybe a little bit blown out of proportion just from Toto Wolff's answer of kind of being, well, we will explore all the options. And then he was kind of asked again, and after, no surprise that the journalists have kind of taken it in that sense of going, oh, well, Verstappen. And then he kind of said, yeah, it is probably looking quite unlikely. But of course, he's always going to say, there's room at the inn, Max. I think that's just his way of saying it, isn't it? That if it does still continue to get worse, Toto Wolff, and it's no disrespect to Kimi Antonelli and George Russell, would absolutely take Verstappen, and unfortunately, that even and himself has admitted this. That he's got two fantastic drivers, and in any other scenario, would probably be set for years because they've got youth, they've got experience, and then a young driver who's got great talent. But unfortunately, if Verstappen chooses to go, we're seeing Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari Part 2, where, sorry, Carlos Sainz, and that is whoever Toto decides of the two of them, you've got to go because you've got to make room for Max. And that's just
have
Formula
to be
1.
Antonelli, surely. It would. It would be a horrible situation for Kimi Antonelli if it did come to fruition, but you have to put your strongest
to be rushed
in
early and then to go back when he's not done a bad job would be absolutely insane, and that would just show the mess that Hamilton had created by leaving for Mercedes, really.
And then Max was like, I want to go in that car. But of course, this may well not happen, and it's just the rumour mill churning once more. But the fact that they don't ever shut it down, of course, we need to talk about it because we're a Formula One channel. So let's see how this one unfolds. Remember, P1 live show tickets are available and going fast. So get your tickets if you want to come see us in America or the UK. And we will see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.
Or Ireland.
Bye.
Goodbye.